Hello? Okay. Can you turn that on? Can you turn it on?
Should be on.
Hello? Oh, it's on. Okay. All right. Everybody keep eating. Go get dessert. The brownies have eyes. Okay. And there is a pie that says Pastor Appreciation Pie. Do not eat it.
Yeah,
It's for Dusty. Okay. So thank you all for staying. It was a wonderful meal. Can we thank the kitchen staff? Oh, God. Especially Ty Cobb, who was here this morning at 9 to cook all the burgers and hot dogs. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So this is our fourth meeting, believe it or not. We only have to have 4 in a year, but I just love you so much that we're going to have 5 this year. You're excited. And Fellowship said that maybe they would give us a meal next time. I'm not sure, but it's pretty special when we get to have a meal, right? And a meeting, I think. I mean, it is a little bit of a bribe to keep you here, and I'm talking before you finish so you won't leave, but I just want you to know that. Okay, can we have an opening prayer? Pastor, you want to give us an opening prayer?
God, thank you for this food once again and for those who have prepared it. Thank you for this meeting now that we can join together and be stewards of this church that you have entrusted to us. We just pray for Pauline as she continues to lead us. Just give her wisdom and patience and help her to find the joy in the role that you called her to. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So I don't know that we actually posted the April 30th minutes, but I'll review a little bit so you can remember what they were. April 30th, we were hot and ready to start our sanctuary refresh. So that meeting was basically a final vote for us to move ahead and start the sanctuary refresh. So do I have a motion to accept those minutes from April 30th? Oh, thank you. Okay. Is Sharon here? Where is she? Oh, okay. I want to make sure I wasn't interrupting your meal. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. She ate fast. Okay. All right. So we're going to have a little bit of an update from Diane Bird, right? Tell us where we are. We're in pretty good shape. Okay?
Hello. I wanted to give you an update on the financials for the budget versus actuals this year. I think that some of these were coming around. I'm not sure everybody got one. It's a 2-sided document. It goes from January through September of this year. Some of the highlights are September means we're 3/4 of the way through the year. Being as we're in the end of September for the reports, that's 75% of the year. Income is on track at 73%, and the board and team expenses are on track as well at 72%. Okay, thank you. All right. Besides that, I wanted to say how thankful I am for all of the different missions that have received money this year from the Better Than a Buck. When that was started, I hadn't ever heard of such a thing, and I think it's been very well received. It's targeted where we spend a lot of our money. From the first of the year, we have given to Lafayette Transitional Housing, the Susan Thomas Preschool Scholarship Fund, the Habitat Apostle Build, Kairos Prison Ministry, YWCA Domestic Violence Program, Jubilee Christmas in July, LUM, the Hunger Hike, Mental Health America, and this month is Trunk or Treat. So all of those to date total almost $4,700. In addition to the regular giving and the Better Than a Buck, we had the Sanctuary Refresh this year, and we had 32 pledging units for the sanctuary refresh. Some of the pledges are being paid over 2 years, although the majority has come in as of now. There's still about 12,000 pending between now and the end of next year. And the final bill should be received soon. We got pledges of $99,100, additional gifts of over $22,000, and endowment reimbursement of over $40,500. And I believe the, let's see, for the proposed budget for next year is in a different part of the program. Are there any questions about this or questions that I can answer? No? Okay. All right.
So I'm on the order there to tell you about what we're doing with the worship service at our church. As you guys know, that one of our worship teams is we call it the worship team. And we meet about 6 times every year to talk about the worship service. And over the last 2 years, I've just been listening to what the church people are telling me about where we would like to be. And so we've had a plan. The plan was, this is where we are, and this is where we want to go, and this is how we're going to get there, right? And so I would tell you today that out of our desire to continue to grow our church, to continue to reach into the next generation, to continue to be a vibrant congregation into the next decade, we're making, I believe, fairly small changes. But let me tell you what I want to do. We are striving to create a little bit more energy in the church. The way we're doing that right now is we're using 3 other singers in the front. And we want to create some more. And not only that, we want to add some music, some praise courses from the 1990s. And so from about 30 years ago. So for right now, we're going to be picking some choruses that hopefully you might know. And we're going to add the guitarist. I don't know about you, but I really thought that Michael did a great job today. Anybody else want to? We're going to continue to add in some of the videos. Now, why are we doing videos? Because lots of people experience church, not just hear it. And so by adding videos, I think it's a little more modern element to touch your heart. It's another way to get the message of Federated Church out. Like, so recently, we've been showing the videos that have just been saying, welcome to church, right? So as we're just sitting there, it's welcome. And so we're trying to do that. You're going to see there have been some fairly modifications, some small modifications, and I want you to see this with me. If this is super traditional, and this is super contemporary, I want us to go from super traditional to somewhere over here, right? Somewhere over here. We're not a blended style, but we've made some modifications that I believe will create a little bit more energy and will hopefully encourage more people to be a part of it. We're not changing. We still have the choir, right? We still have the kids' message. We're still doing communion. And so if you were in worship service today, today's worship service was a culmination of everything that the worship team has been talking about for 2 years. And so I don't know if you liked it or didn't like it, but I liked the energy. I liked some of the songs that we sang. I liked having Diane play music before the service started. I like having Wayne play with to actually play the piano with the organist. If you like that piece. And so, what am I saying to you? First off, I don't care about what style we use. I do care about that we're an effective congregation. I do care about that we continue to reach into the hearts of other people. Not many people are using a purely traditional style today. I believe that our future lies with being traditional with a twist. And everyone has asked me, what's the twist? Well, everything I just told you about. By adding the piano to the organ, to add the piano playing with the organ, that really is way traditional. We just haven't done it here at this church in a long time. Lots of people, lots of churches out there use multiple singers from the platform just to share some energy. Lots of churches do that. We get to involve some more people. In fact, I really enjoyed seeing Ed sing today. What'd you guys think about Ed singing with us? And yeah, and so we have a number of people that we're going to hopefully bring into that group of three. In fact, Ryan is going to be one of them, and we're hoping to have Brandy, join us, and hopefully Stacy at some time or another. And so what are we trying to do? Just add a few more people in? Because I believe our biggest strength at Federated Church, besides your loving kindness, is the way that we include people in the service. And so we're looking to do that and to add to that. And I think when we're all said and done, we're still a traditional church, but what's the word? Twist. And I think that was a pretty small twist today. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but it was it's not blended, just traditional with a couple of small modifications. And so that's kind of where the worship team has been going. We changed out the projectors, and so now we're seeing a little bit better of a picture. Has that been a good thing for you? Have you liked some of the pictures? And so that's where we're going. I don't know if you wanted to share some updates with me. You guys need to know that I've done this based on listening to our church. It's not a personal preference. It's just, this is what I hear you telling me, and that's where we're continuing to go. So where are we? We were super traditional. Where do we want to be? We want to be a little bit more towards the middle, right? And how are we going to get there? It's about adding people. It's about adding a video. It's about just some of the small changes that we made in the service today. Thank you. All right, we have just one question.
That it was as easy to hear them. I don't know whether we moved some of the hanging speakers or something, but they weren't projecting as much as usual, and I think we lacked the speakers for the choir.
Oh, that's a good point. We'll keep working on it, but if you want to share some more, if you want to share some more input with me, you be sure and do that.
Thank you.
She made a very good point that the choir wasn't as loud. And that was the other thing that we were doing with the sanctuary remodel, is because I wear hearing aids, as you guys probably know by now, meaning I don't hear half of what's being said. And I'm not alone on this. Our society is losing its hearing. And so it's my age. We intentionally swapped out 2 new speakers, and I'm hoping that you can hear that better by now. Has there been an improvement, generally speaking, with the sound in the sanctuary? And we added in the hearing loop for those of us that have hearing aids, so the sound will go right to our hearing aid. And if you're somebody that uses the hearing aid and want to know how to connect that, we can tell you how to do more of that. But one of the things that the steps did is they brought it out 18 inches. And so now we know that the speakers are kind of behind the choir now. It's one thing that we'll continue to adjust and to adapt, because what she's saying is we couldn't hear the choir as much. That is, we just need to keep working with where the microphones are placed.
Okay, so it's really good to have your feedback, right? I mean, we need to hear from you every week. If you have something to say, the people on the worship committee are Dusty. Oh, Mike, yes.
Quick question, will the Lord's Prayer be coming back at some time or another? Yeah, just not every week. Okay.
Good question, right? I mean, so not to remind you of what we're missing, but I always think of the three things that make a service very traditional are the doxology, the Lord's Prayer, and what's it? The pews, right? I mean, I was thinking about music. What's the other? And the other one, yeah. Yes, right. And so you don't see those every week like you used to. And I'm one of those people who misses the Lord's Prayer. But I do remind Dusty of that. So I think that you will see that, Mike, okay, from occasion, but maybe not every week. Okay? Yes, Judy.
Sometimes I've been gone for several months, and I came back and realized that we didn't sing the Lord's Prayer on Communion Sunday anymore. And I'm old and I really miss that. I thought that was special about this church.
Okay.
Yeah, can I just speak to the Lord's Prayer? So you need to know that there are people with lots of different opinions. The problem with singing the Lord's Prayer is it's not very singable. And it's not very singable because it's so high. And you need to know that we're singing the Lord's Prayer. It's the one song that gets sung the less. Although, I mean, it gets sung the least from the congregation. Now, I know that because I'm seeing it, because I'm watching you. And so you need to know that along the way, I'm also watching what's connecting with the church. And so I'm not saying that we're not going to do it, but there's a reason why we haven't done it all the time. And that's because you're not singing it. You may be enjoying listening to it, but it's the one song that's not being sung, if that makes sense. So from my perspective, you're telling me that that's not a very meaningful part of the service by your lack of engagement with it. So, so we're making some judgment calls along the way, and then we'll keep adapting, right? We'll keep adapting as we learn and as we go. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds really good. I was going to say, you are all hearing me sing the Lord's Prayer off tune because I'm really engaged and I sing that really loud. But nobody stands next to me, including Bob. So I guess so people don't realize that. So I understand where you're coming from, Judy. But we'll talk about that some more. So the people on the worship committee are Lisa, Dusty, we have Wayne, Barb, and our two online people. Okay? So, yeah, we get a lot of feedback, right? And that's really good because as Ryan and Lisa sang that song that really touched my heart, you are the church and we are the church, right? So it's all of us. So we really need to have you give us that feedback all the time. That's really important, okay? I think Jim Rawlings is going to come up and share a little bit with what we've been doing with the endowment bylaws. Okay.
Hi, in your packet, you have a copy of some proposed changes we're looking at for the endowment bylaws. And consider this today the 30-day notice prior to our annual meeting that we're having in December. So as per policy. These aren't really anything earth-shattering changes. That we're looking at the size of the board, and just for those that aren't aware, currently the board has 9 directors on it, which are appointed or nominated and approved by the congregation, congregational members who have voting powers. We have 4 ex officio members, the president of the congregation, which is Pauline, the pastor, which is Dusty, our treasurer, Kay Hunt, and the trustees representative, which currently is Orlo. Only Pauline and Orlo have voting rights out of those 4. Kay and Dusty do not vote. Kay is not a member of the board, but under the old bylaws we had, it was generally assumed that the treasurer, which is Kay's function, sorry I didn't say that, would be a member of the board, would be one of the elected members of the board. And we got away from that just because no one was able to do it. And Kay's assumed that role for a long time and done a very good job with it. So what we're doing with that bylaw is cleaning that up to where we're saying that the directors can appoint a treasurer from outside the board if they don't think they are capable or willing to do that job. So that kind of solidifies Kay's position. We're also reducing the number of directors from the congregation from 9 to 6, making it more in line with the size of the other boards of the church. We're by far the biggest board, and it was only about halfway through this year that we had the board fully filled. So that's the other thing we're looking at. The last thing is just a verbiage correction. In a couple of places in the current bylaws, it refers to he, and we're just replacing that with gender-neutral terms such as director or something like that, member, something that doesn't indicate the sexuality of a person. So that's all we're really doing. Nothing I would consider to be major. This is not coming up for a vote today. You have 30 days plus to review these, and we'll have a discussion at the annual meeting and vote on them. But I'll be glad to take any questions that you might have prior to that if anybody's got a question.
What's the date of the annual meeting?
19th, I think. 17th.
Jim, there's, it says decrease is 6, but there's 7 members listed on there with endowment.
Well, right now, yeah. If there's no questions, I'll give up the mic. Thank you.
And I have a few changes to the church bylaws, similar to Jim. It's on your last page, and I tried to put some of it in red to help you, but it's more updates as our church has evolved and changed. One of them is that for some of our teams, not our officers, we would really like to include our online attendance, because as Dusty said, we have 20-some, right, every week. And those people are a part of our life at the church, even though they're not physically here. And they do come and visit us also. So they participate in the worship, right? And I wanted to make sure that we struck that line that says online members of Federated they may not, however, serve on church boards or committees while in non-resident status. So that's the reason for Section 5 and the change there, okay? The second change was in Article 4, Section 2B. The executive board is pretty small. It's 4 officers, me and the president-elect, and then a secretary and treasurer, and then 2 board members at large. And we've got a lot going on with our sanctuary refresh, and as Dusty talked to you, that we're going to try to be looking for another staff member. So I'd like to have more people helping us with that. And it has for years and always was 4 members at large. And so we're going to put it back there. But 2 years ago, Lynette did a phenomenal job, right, in bringing our bylaws into teams and into something that would fit our attendance, right? Because several years ago, our attendance was closer to 65. It's back up to 88, so we're doing well. But we could not fill 64 positions if there were if there were only 65 of us. I mean, even the kids would have to take positions, right? And then there was also that you could only serve on one board. Right? So then, you couldn't do two things. And one of the things she did in that governance, right, that was a stroke of genius, was she made them into teams with team leaders, right? And that you could participate in many different things where your passion was. So maybe you want to cook today a little bit in the kitchen, but maybe you want to swing a hammer and help with Habitat on the mission outreach team. Maybe you want to be part of the signs outside for Trunk or Treat and marketing and media. So now we have people that move all around, right, and help in different committees. And one of the things this year I hope to do is, I've had some people ask me about becoming more involved, but they're not sure what all the committees or the teams or the boards do. So I'm going to try to make something, right, so it's clearer and transparent. So you all know what fellowship does, you know what mission and outreach does, you know what the different teams do, so you can decide to sign up or participate where you want. Okay? And if you ever have any questions, please feel to approach me. So I'm putting that back to 4 members, which it was since the very beginning. At-large board members can be non-members of Federated who are active in the life of the church, right? But the 4 officers always still have to be members of the church. Okay? And when you make it bigger, then you have to change the majority of the executive board shall constitute a quorum to do business. So 8, we have to have 5, right? Basic math, okay? And then, so there's just verbiage that had to be corrected for that. So are there any questions? This is also the 30-day notice. We'll vote on that on December 17th. Oh, yes?
What was the position you're talking about filling?
The executive board members at large, right? And so we have 4.
Oh, I meant the staff position.
I think maybe we'll talk, I think Dusty talked about that this morning, right? We're thinking, everybody was raising their hand, of having someone that's going to work with our youth and our children, right? But there are also other things that we can use in the church and have programs. So we're not sure exactly what the title is going to be, but I'd like to have a committee that comes together and helps write a job description so we have an idea of what we're looking for. Go, Laura Marie.
So it's not, are we still deciding, voting as a church, if we're going to have that position? Or
Not yet. We are not voting yet for that. When we get our job description and what we think we're going to do, we're going to bring it forward again.
but will we need a job description if, let's say, the parents and the kids come together and decide we'd rather tackle that by taking turns, leading a youth activity per month or something?
Well, I hope on this committee we'll have some youth parents, right, to have a say in that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. So that committee is, forming now?
Yes, I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I just speak to that? The way that things work in a church like ours, things always start in a board. Some board begins to adopt some idea, and then they begin to hash out that idea. It continues to grow, and then it expands to other boards, and then something official gets done with it, and then it gets brought to the executive board that they will say yes or no to it, and then it goes to the congregation. And so if we just look how the life of our church works, everything starts in a board. And then if it continues to go, if it gets stopped somewhere in one of the boards, then it gets stopped. If it doesn't make it to the church, then it doesn't make it to the church. Does that make sense? That's just so that's how our Constitution is read. You need to know that from my perspective, to do everything we can to support the youth and children of our church is an essential part of the future of our church. And so you need to know that whether my influence is able to keep this going or not, I have no idea. But you just know that that's where I am today. We can still be friends if you disagree with me, right? So we're going to let this thing work through the process, but you need to know it's in motion, right?
Other questions about that? I mean, so we're pretty excited, right? I mean, Dusty stood up there this morning and told you that that's one of the top priorities, right, for this coming year. So I'm pretty excited about it. So if you guys have ideas or you think you want to belong to that committee, right, yay, come and tell me. Laura Marie?
So today, should we all approach you who want to be on that committee, deciding if we go forward with having a youth pastor?
Yes, if you want to be one of those people, I mean, I'd like to know because we're going to start to form the committee. Yeah. I mean, it probably won't meet until the beginning of next year, but it's good for us to come up with those people.
Well, I mean, I think too, it's like our kids shouldn't necessarily wait. The holidays are upon us. I think it's good that we're gonna do trunk or treat and maybe, like I know my son is participating with me. But then, just unofficially, we should maybe do some Christmas stuff with kids too. Maybe I would volunteer to be the first parent to do an activity, like maybe just help out with the Jubilee Christmas.
I think that all of the youth on December 17th are going to read scripture together.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I just saw Sue leave, but she told me about that, and I think it's like 12 of them, right? So that's a pretty special thing, right? Each of them are going to read a paragraph. Okay. The next part I want to tell you is that it's a separate handout, and it's a slate of officers. And this is for the up and coming year, right? And I get to be the president. Oh, yes. You need more copies? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, everybody have one or share one or got one in front of you? Okay. I'm really excited about this slate of officers. I've tried to reach out to a number of you who have not always been as involved in the church, but we feel so fortunate to have many people with lots of talents. And so I get to be the president again, since nobody came forward this year. What's the matter with you guys? All right, but after this year, you've had enough of me, right, for 2 years. And so Wayne Miles, yay, has agreed to be my president-elect, and I am really thankful. I prayed to God, so thank you.
I think it's nice that you said I get to be, not that I have to be.
Oh. Okay. If you guys can just all bear with me in my knee, I have to tell you, I am really sorry, but my knee really has given me a lot of trouble, and I did not expect that. So our secretary and treasurer are Sharon and Diane, respectively, and I just want you to know that we do elect them every year. In some cases, they fulfill their term and a little bit more. We are so thankful and appreciative that we have people of those talents who are still willing to serve. Oh, okay. And so the members at large this year are Barb Tyner, the jack of all trades who does everything. Is she here? No. Oh, okay. She probably needed it. Okay, right? Jane Parker and Val Brock and Vicki Pearl. And I don't see a lot of them here right now, but I talked to each and Jane is here. Val's at home taking care of Hank, and Vicky is Vicky home and probably has other things to do. But I saw her today taking attendance, right? And she's one sharp cookie. So. For the trustees, we have Orlo and Shelley and Nancy, who said she'd serve another term. We have Ed, who was new this year to us, Clay Albertson, Diane Bird, and Andy Edwards, right? And he's not here today because he's working over at Urgent Care at IU. But he's glad to join us, and he's pretty excited. Yeah. And the Endowment Board does have 7 people listed. Thanks, Dave, for noticing that. Even though you're only supposed to have 6, I said decrease to 6. But we thank all of those people, Lynette and Jim, for being the chair again this past year. Diana, Rita, who is the secretary, I didn't put that down on there. Gerald and Jenny and Keith Schwigendorf. So these are all the other people. When Jim talked about it, that's what makes the board so big, right? And decreasing it to a reasonable size was an important thing because we are a smaller church now. On the fellowship team, we have our 2 Ty Kopp and Bev Schwartz and lots of other people who help in the kitchen all the time. And I've listed some of their names, but they are here and everywhere all the time. Spiritual development is like Christian education, and we have Bonnie, and I know she could use anybody who would like to come and help her, but she's been faithful in teaching with our youth. And Laura Marie, we'd love to have any other help, right, that you would like to give us. And there's a preschool representative, Patty Useem, that goes to the meeting, and I just will put in a plug because the November all-church dinner, right, we'll have Lori Madden, and she's going to talk about the history of our preschool here at Federated, why it's the best kept secret in West Lafayette. I think it's gone on for 50 years, more than 50 years, okay? And she's going to give the talk, and I think that you will all be surprised. I mean, I was really surprised when I went to the meeting of all that they have done inside the community. And so, you know, when you wander upstairs and you see all the rooms and the things that they have, right, you understand the dedication of the teachers and what goes on. And they also do Mom's Time Out. So she'll be explaining that all to us on...
The last Wednesday in November.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Barb. Oh, Lori Madden is the preschool director. She worked for many years before she became the director, right? Yeah, she was a teacher. And then we're going to tape her, so because we've also thought it would be a good thing to show during the service one day, like during a mission moment. So she was really happy and excited, and nobody had ever asked her. So I was like, yeah. Well, I was so inspired after I went to the meeting with Orlo and Patty about what she did. I was like, we've got to have other people hear about what you do. I mean, here at our church. So that's in November. What's the date, Lynette? Oh, thank you. Okay. November 29th. So outreach and mission team leaders, this one's always close to my heart. We have Scotty and Barb, and you know that they do more than one thing every quarter, but a lot goes on there, right? But big one coming up, obviously, is Trunk or Treat. The marketing and media team leaders are Barb Tyner, and then they are responsible for the signs outside, the website, yeah, all of the, Facebook, right? All of the things that really help us. We have the worship team leaders, and that's Dusty and Lisa, and I encourage you to give your feedback as you see us sort of modifying the worship service. And the care team leader, Barb Amos, and they do a lot, right? They're really checking on the people who are shut in, people at Westminster, people at University Place, people who can't get in to see us. So they really do a lot, yeoman's work. And then next year for the nominating committee, I still need one more person to help Wayne, but that'll be Barb Amos, Rita Schultz, Keith Johnson, and one more person. So if anybody wants to volunteer for that one, come to me and tell me. But we have a lot of time. We have several months for that. So that gives you an idea of next year and who's going to be doing governance. And if you have any questions, who you would go to say something like, I guess if you were going to give pushback, as Dusty likes to say. All right, Orlo is going to come and talk to you about the nitty-gritty, the first draft of the budget, which Diane did and is already presented to the trustees and executive board, and how we're all created to be a steward.
Saving the best for last. Anyway, on the back of your handout should be the executive summary of the next year's budget as prepared by Diane, who consulted all the board team leaders and came up with this. And I'm here to tell you about that, plus some other stuff. The budget is pretty stable for next year. You notice it only increases by some amount of money, which I didn't calculate. Oh, $7,500, it's right here in my notes. And that primary is increasing to help increase the money to pay for that new staff member, whatever job that person may be doing. And if you look at the breakdown, you see again the trustees, of which I am the chair, in case you didn't know that. We have over 90% of the budget. So that's why I'm up here, to tell you about how we spend all your money that you pledge. Most of it goes, 67% of the trustees' budget goes to staff. So keep that in mind. Then facilities maintenance is about 30%. That keeps the lights on, that gives you the air conditioning, that helps pay the fertilizer for the grounds, et cetera, keeps the toilets unplugged, you know, all that stuff. That's the facilities maintenance. And then finally, 4% of next year's budget for the trustees side is going for church operations. That's postage, I'm sure there's some other stuff, paying for the copier use, et cetera, et cetera. The other areas, outreach, fellowship, spiritual development, market media, you see is really stable. I know outreach got a little reduced a bit, but you know, we're taking that slack up with better than a buck stuff and that type of thing. So that's the quick budget thing. This is going to be refined, and it's really going to be based on how much money you all pledge to us for next year. So it's going to be tweaked as time goes on, and how you give your money to us. But as a sidebar, because I don't get to talk much the past year, I'm going to touch on maintaining our facility, why that 30% of facilities maintenance is really important. That's why you got the lights on. That's why all these light bulbs are now LEDs. We spent money 2 years ago to swap out all our fluorescent lights, LEDs, saving money on the electric bill. We've replaced 5 cooling units the past 2 years. The chapel air conditioner, some mini split units, that's where some of that money's gone. We've done roof repairs, plumbing repairs, kitchen appliance repairs, you know, the ice maker, the new stoves, the refrigerator, they got to be maintained and going on. We've resealed and striped our parking lot. We painted the north side of the soffits this past year. I don't ever notice that, but some people do. And we've given Dusty new carpet. So most of that money is coming out of the repairs and maintenance budget of the budget line in our operation for next year. Now, jumping back to that budget, on the income side, you'll see Diane has thinking we are going to give a little bit more money than what we pledged this year. And I really encourage you to prayerfully pray, if you can do that, to increase your budget, increase your pledge for next year. We rely on your tithes and offerings for that, and that's why you've been created to be a steward. Huh? As Dusty focused on, yeah, I believe we had 52 pledging units of last year. All right, confirmed, more or less. If we could get those 52 to pledge again and increase your pledge by 10%, just 10%. And then if we can get 10% more of that 52 amount, new pledge, that's like 5 people, 5 giving units to pledge, we're going to hit this target of pledge income just like that. So please prayerfully consider your pledge for next year. You got the card in the mail. Looks like this with an envelope. You can drop it put it in the envelope, drop it in the basket out in the narthex, drop it in the mail slot, hand it to Diane. We'll take it. And I think I'm done. Any questions about trustee stuff, money, etc., created to be a steward?
What are the needs? You mentioned all the great stuff that's been done. What's next? What's the need?
Well, facilities, for maintenance and repairs, our next big expense is going to be roofing. The educational wing roof is old and it's leaking, and we've got a humongous quote on how to fix that, but we're sort of kicking that down the road. What your pledge money goes, primary is to keep that toilet unplugged, to pay the plumber to come in, to fix the heating unit. The roof's going to be a capital expense, and trustees have a reserve funds for that major capital stuff. So we're just looking primarily for keeping the building maintained in the condition that it is right now, and the big stuff, we have reserve funds that we can tap.
You also want to replace some units.
Yeah, we still have in the primarily the office areas, the offices, they have turn of the century, if you can like that word, mini split units that provide their cooling. So those are going on 25 years old. We've been in the process of replacing others in the Ed Wing, but we still have 6 more units that we'd like to replace. And part of the repairs and maintenance budget will have that amount to do that. We'll probably replace 3 of them in our office areas.
How's life has no boundaries been? Going okay? I see it's in the budget. Things going as smooth as that?
They've been, as far as and Dusty and I are concerned, they've been going great. Life has no boundaries, in case you don't know, is I'll call it a young adult with special needs daycare. And they've been leasing 3 of our rooms down in the educational wing on the basement. And they basically are self-sufficient, take care of themselves. They clean up after themselves, and we're getting some income from that. No big issues whatsoever. They're great to work with, and we think we're great to work with them. All right, if no questions, please consider pledging and returning your pledge envelope by the end of the month, end of November.
I do want to say this. Dusty's did not get his office recarpeted because he's bougie, just because there was water in there. He is bougie.
Whatever that means.
It smelled terrible.
And
Some
that,
had leaks on the carpet, and although we had cleaned it, the smell wasn't coming out.
and why the water leaked is because he has one of those old air conditioning units, and the ductwork got plugged, leaked the water off of it onto the carpet. That's another good reason why we need to replace particularly that one unit, among others. Plug.
I just wanted air conditioning.
Oh, the real big stuff. And what I forgot, for all of our sanctuary refresh was entirely funded by, as Diane said, basically outside our operating budget. Thank you. And that enabled the trustees to spend a chunk of money to replace our original heating thermostats with digital electronic thermostats. So now we can actually program to go turn on the heat and off the heat this coming winter, which should save us quite some money, we hope. All right, thank you.
Okay. I think that that is it. You are all dismissed, as long as you promise to come back and vote on December 17th. And then we'll have our annual meeting where we listen to the annual reports, and all the teams and the boards get to report on what they've done in 2023. And that'll be January 28th. And I think maybe we get to have a meal that day. No, maybe not. Okay. All right. I really like potluck. Okay. Okay. Maybe I will pray to dismiss us all. How's that? Okay. Heavenly Father, we are the church, and you are the church along with us. We are so blessed, highly favored, and thankful for all the people who are here today, the people in their homes, the foundation that we stand on for many of the people who came before us, and we look forward to more joining our ranks and being with us. Help us to be prudent with the gifts that we have as stewards, and do all of your work inside and outside of these walls. Amen.